Good morning, this is Colt from Spit and Tex Upholstery. This is a new video. We're doing an enclosure on the back of a fishing boat. And this is the back of the boat. And you stand back here, the motor is back here. Anyway, so we're replacing a zipper in here, and there's a way to do it. It's not overly complicated. It appears to be. The complication comes when you line up the zipper to sew it down. But the removal of the zipper is relatively straightforward. You need to be mindful of how you do it. Along the bottom, you have a binding, okay? And then you have an inch and almost 2-inch sew allowance, okay? You do that first and then you put the binding on. But in the meantime, like right here, how this zipper, this one's still good. This is not how I would have done it. And I'm going to show you how to do it properly. So, here we go. You can see how it's all in there like that. It looks very, very complicated. It is, but it isn't. And you can see your sew allowance from the back. So, right here, we have splayed this one out, and I have used my seam ripper to come through and run it up there. And as you use your seam ripper to take these zippers out, be mindful down here where they're hidden, okay, in the sew allowance. What I'm going to do with this, so we can bring it, you can see how this is. It comes all the way down to there. Let me grab a pin. And so this is where it comes down to. We'll mock it up on the outside, and then we'll just mark that right there. We'll mock it up on the outside. So that's where we're going with that. So you be mindful of that, because this brand new one, you see that? This has a stop block on it. This one, it had been removed. You can see the comparison. So, see how our stop block? When I wrap this around, it's hidden. So I'm going to relief cut this to that mark and expose that. And then it'll sew and it'll still lay right. So, as you can see, you see the old stitch marks? This is a 1/2-inch sew allowance. Everything's a 1/2-inch sew allowance. Like I told you, everything is based on a 1/2 inch. So you follow those and you can't go wrong. And this rides right along the edge of that binding. You just have to line it up properly on the bottom, and then you cut your top up there to length, and then you sew over the top of it. So this is basically how you would remove it. Okay, you relieve all these down here at the bottom gently, not too much, just enough to get the zipper out. Don't get crazy. And then if you can see up here, little red ball on this, you come up here and you go. And be slow and push on it, bend it like this. Take your time. You don't want to cut or rip anything. You want to use a new one. This is our new zipper here. So, a seam ripper. And that little fork in the front, you just kind of bend it and be gentle. Be gentle. It'll talk to you. Okay, now if you want to come around here to the other side, my wonderful assistant. So we come over here, and there's a sew allowance here. You can see how it's sewn into the back. This is actually the front. Okay, this is the inside of the cab. You're inside the boat. This is outside the boat. So what you do is you come back here, and you always start from the inside, and you relieve these. These are the sew allowances. You relieve a couple, and then you can get your finger in there, and then you can get underneath and do that again, just on a different level. But go slow. Drag it if you have to where you don't cut this fabric. There's no need for it. And you come out about an inch on either side. That's the only relief that you need. Don't get crazy like I said on the bottom. So you come out and get in the habit of always cleaning up your thread. Okay. And then, well, on this one, I can see now we have to come out a little bit wider so we got more room. But don't cut your plastic. Don't get crazy. Okay. So now we come underneath. And we just pop that out. Pull that thread back. You can clean that up later. I'm just teaching you how to take it apart. And be mindful of it. Take some photos if you have to at first. Okay, now this part here, this is the zipper. So you can come back here and seam rip all this. And these are all going to be the same. You're going to see the same setup on these tops. I mean these enclosures. But don't cut your plastic. Just take it easy. Don't get frustrated. You come through and you just pop all those threads. Don't cut your plastic. Pop all those threads. And you'll see how easy this comes out. Just come under and pop them 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 and pop them. So when you come back like this, if you see this, you can see where it went, okay? So what you do now is you come up here right to the middle and you get underneath of there and pop a couple threads on this binding. Okay? See that? You just drag it. Get your red under there, your red ball, and just kind of walk it up. And walk it up. Each side. See that? See that splice open? You can see the zipper. It'll pull off the back. Now, you can see the top and the bottom. It's exposed. Okay? So I just did those few breaks to get it loose. So it'll come off easier. But, like we're running it up, now you can run it up right to there, and you can see how it'll come loose. I know it's hard to see, but it's just take your time once you get to the top and the bottom. As you can see it just broke loose, the zipper, and it's kind of, yeah. So this is the left side of the zipper, that's the right side, and you can see this is the outside. Standing on the stern of the boat, you can look in and see this is the outside. And all this cleans up. When you got all these threads and stuff hanging, if it helps you, trim them up as you go to make you feel better, to where it's not so messy, so you don't get intimidated. But now look at me for a second. When you're doing this, step back and look, and just relax. Some of you might panic. Don't panic. It's not a big deal. It's a zipper. But they'll charge you $500 to fix this. That's a lot of money. The zipper's $11. So take your time. Take your time and see what it is. What am I doing? I always tell myself, if I ever was to get panicked, I'd say, what am I doing? Oh, I'm doing a zipper. And then that reins you back in. Okay? So it's just material. Take your time. Be mindful of what you're doing. Look at the length of things. And don't tear everything apart. Tear little bits apart. Photograph things. Anything that will help you. But now we're coming back to this. As you can see, there's a binding that goes down there. You don't have to remove that binding. You don't have to remove that binding. I took that zipper off. Now watch. You see that thread? Look how that just pulls right up. Okay, that's the on your sewing machine. There's a thread. There's a hook and loop underneath. Okay, the hook and loop, and on the top it feeds down. So they do this, and then you get the chain stitch. So that's all that was. You pulled that off. You pulled that loop off. All right. So, and then like I said, get in the habit. Before you go sewing anything back on, come through here with your seam ripper and just gently just go back and forth, or and tug and pull and clean that up. You got to get out all that old stuff off. Never ever leave any old stuff on. So you clean up, and when you have a clean work environment, you have excellence. That's what this promotes. Everything is correct. You do not continue until you're happy with your alignments, with your witness marks. Had a customer or a watcher ask me, "How come you don't do witness marks?" Well, I do. Witness marks are your friends. They're key. But that last video with the boat was to show you how to mimic an exact. You took apart an old beat up pattern. That was a pattern video. But yes, witness marks. When you cut new stuff, and you make sure that everything lines up as you sew the perimeter. So that's the first one. Okay, and you see we left this together. All this will tuck back in there. All this will, after you get it all cleaned up, it'll all tuck back in there. But you always get rid of all your old stuff and just keep everything lined up. You only take apart what you need to take apart. This video is how to replace a zipper in an enclosure. That's what this video is. So we're not going to venture too far away from that concept. But you clean up as you go. So I just wanted to show you some tear down. These things, I'm noticing people don't do this or take this time to show you, because this is the real world. This is how it works. You keep it lined up. You get a nice big table. You'll notice my table. This is a big boy, and it's on casters and it moves. But you have to, and I paint my tables regularly, and you have to keep your stuff clean. So when you're doing this, everything's clean. You have no staples protruding, because it'll poke a hole in this. You have to replace this, and this plastic glass ain't cheap. So that's our first zipper. That's removed, and like I said, you keep it tidy to where you can just lay it right back together. All you have to do is line it up when you go to sew the new one on, and I'll show you how to do that in the next video. But this is our first quick video of how to remove a zipper. Okay, I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other side, and then I'm gonna prep this, and I'm gonna show you how to sew it back together. So, thank you. Always subscribe and like my channel. Boy, we just got started here. You guys are gonna love this. Got a million things we're gonna do with you. All right, I'll see you around like a donut.